So welcome everyone to the How to Maximize Your Business Valuation. My name is Helena and the person you see on your screen is Luke, who'll be presenting the presentation today. So it's hosted by the Brisbane Business Hub. Sorry we couldn't make it into the hub today, obviously with all of the stuff going on with coronavirus and all that kind of stuff. We're doing this workshop online, but makes it easier for everyone as well to attend. So before we start the presentation, there is a comment section where you guys are able to comment and ask questions if you like. If you want to ask a question, please just raise your hand and I can allow that to pop up for you. And if you want to turn your cameras on, please go ahead. We'd love to see your smiling faces, but no pressure if you don't want to. So before we begin, just with your chat, just type in a message if you have a question or anything like that, and I'll let Luke know and we can start. So go ahead, Luke.
Okay, welcome guys. As Helena said, if this is an interactive presentation, so if you want to stop and ask or something is unclear, just raise your hand or type it in the comment box and Helena will pause me and we'll keep going. Because some of the stuff may be a little bit confusing and we don't want you to get lost along the way. All right, so welcome. And what we're here today is to learn how do you maximize your business valuation. And I'm going to take you through 12 steps that I've learned over my journey of 25 years of doing this. And I'm going to help you prepare an exit strategy roadmap. So before we begin, I'd like to ask you, why are you here today? What are the reasons? So if you can just type it in the box or raise your hand or whatever, so I get an understanding of why are you here today. Helena,
so some of the some of the reasons, guys, might be like you're looking at retiring or you're looking at selling. Or maybe you're just trying to attract new investors. Hi, Tracy. So Tracy said she's here for some education and networking to try and meet other people who are in the same position.
Okay. What else?
Or some of you might just be a little bit curious. Oh, and Harry. Hi, Harry. So Harry's just starting out and he's looking at learning whatever he can from people who are ahead of him. So from other business owners.
Knowledge.
Janelle wants to understand how to place a max value for her future. So future planning or future proofing.
Yeah, very good.
Hi, Susan. And Susan wants help in deciding between selling or keeping a business with a new CEO.
Selling or keeping. Okay, so that's really, really cool. Why are you here? So the next question I'm going to ask you, it's a little bit different. What do you want to get out of today? And is my sound and video okay, Helena? Because I can't see myself.
It's perfect. Yeah.
So what do you want to get out from today's workshop? This helps me, obviously, the content that I'm presenting is in line with why you're actually here. So what we got there, Helena?
Maximizing a business value.
Yeah.
Practical tips on what I can do in my business. I get that's a really good one, guys. Like what to watch out for when you're selling a business.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Maybe what the best time to sell. I guess if anyone's in the mind frame of selling, when should you sell? Maximize business valuation and what went wrong for you to lose your $12 million business, Luke.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that. Get a tissue ready. Yeah, so what to avoid is probably a good one.
Yeah.
Just take one more and then we keep going. Anything else?
Did we do what? Oh yeah, what to avoid? Or how much your business is worth, guys? Does anyone know how much their business is worth currently?
All right. I think, okay, so these are important questions that we aligned in what I'm trying to show you, because part of this process is getting clear of what you want. And I'm going to explain what that means in a second and why a lot of people make mistakes, and it's around clarity. So one of the questions to ask yourself, and if you haven't asked yourself this at some stage along your business journey, you are going to ask yourself this question. What is your business worth today? Now, a lot of things get attached to this of you as a business owner. What do you think your business is worth? Because you have these things going on in your life. Well, I started my business and I put my life savings into it. I spent years, 10, 20, some people have spent 30, 40 years inside a business. I've sacrificed my health with all the stress. I've sacrificed family and friends when things were bad and the times to get things going. I had to really dig deep, and I haven't taken much out of my business over the years. So you as a business owner would think, well, because I've done all this, my business must have value. But here's the unfortunate truth. Most business owners do this. They sacrifice pretty much everything. Life, health, risk, family, money, everything. And then they come to the end of the journey, and all of you will eventually come to the end of your journey in your business, whatever that means. And they discover that the value of their business is just a fraction of what they believe. And that's really, really sad. And that's what today's all about. Most people find when they come to get a valuation and then they sell their business, it's usually around 1 to 1.5 times their yearly salary. So if you're earning 60 grand a year or 70 or whatever your business is paying you, most business owners come to get a valuation and their valuation is about 1.5 times that. That's a tragedy. That's why you're here today to learn, well, how can you prevent that? So here's the truth. Buyers are only interested in the future potential of your business, right? They're going to pay top dollar for the opportunity that presents the most amount of money for them in the least amount of time. They're looking to maximize their return. Just think about this. If you were investing in a property, and which property would you choose? Because when buyers are buying a business, they're not only looking at your business, there's lots of competition. There's other businesses that they can potentially buy. What are they looking for? Do they really care what happened in your life and your heartfelt stories? No, they don't. All they're worried about is the future potential of this business and how quickly can they get their money back in the quickest amount of time. How much money can they make out of your business? This is very important what I'm telling you. So think about this as if you were a property investor and you went to choose property and you looked at 6 or 7 or 8 houses, which you normally do, you wouldn't just look at one. Would you care about anything of those houses except for 2 things? In 10 or 15 years' time, which of these houses is going to double in value the quickest, or most certain it's going to? Or what weekly rentals out of all these homes is going to give you the best return? Doesn't matter what state the house is in. If that becomes the best opportunity in the best neighborhood and the hottest market right now, you would go for the opportunity that gives you the biggest return in the quickest amount of time. You're looking for the most surety. And when buyers purchase a business, it is absolutely no different. So the real question you should be asking yourself is, what is the real potential value of my business, right? Not what your business is worth today. And what do you need to do to present this potential? You need to demonstrate this to potential buyers. So you want to sell the future potential of your business, not the valuation of it today. And the difference is hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Now, you may think this is an exaggeration right now, but I'm going to show you real life examples of how this happens. Are there any questions so far, Helena?
Not at the moment, guys. For some reason, I can't see any raised hands, so I do apologize if anyone's been raising hands. That capability is gone from my screen now. But if anyone has questions, just pop it into the comment box. I can see all the comments, so I'll interrupt Luke if there is any.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I probably should introduce myself. I'm Luke Vatoris, and I work in Ideas into Business alongside Helena. And what we do is we help business owners like you build exit strategy roadmaps and help you maximize your business valuation that I'm going to teach you all about today. And we do it at a fraction of the price of the high-paying or high-charging consultancy firms. Okay, so what are you going to learn today? I'm going to show you the 12 steps. They're sequential, all right, that you should be putting inside your business or how you maximize your valuation. I'm going to share my $12 million mistake that someone asked. I'm going to show you what I did, and hopefully you won't make the same mistake. I'm going to show you how you can get a really accurate business estimate of your business today. And then I'm going to show you all the steps you put in place of how do you maximize that potential. I'm going to give you the roadmap. And then I'm going to show you how you package your business for sale. Because at the end of the day, this is all about marketing. How do you market your business? You could have the best stuff of everything, but if you're not marketing and presenting it in a particular format, you're not going to get the buyers. You're not going to hook them in. I'm going to show you some real life case studies of how I got a valuation of $3.5 million for one of my businesses in less than 3 years. I'm going to show you the exact case study of that. How I took exactly what I'm teaching you today. How I sold another business for 820 after 14 months. I'm going to show you a client's business valuation of 3.4 in less than 2 years. And you may think this is exaggeration, but when you see it, I think your eyes are going to open to a new world, because this is exactly what happened to me when I learned this stuff. And very importantly, why you need to prepare your business preparations for today. Because regardless of where you are right now, whether you're starting out, you're burnt out, you're thinking of retiring, you're on a roller coaster ride and everything's great, at some stage, you're going to think about selling your business, health issues, family issues, someone may make you an offer. And you want to make sure at any stage, you are ready and prepared to exit, right? Because otherwise you're genuinely losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what I want to do is I want to begin with my story. This is my $12 million mistake. So I'm going to swap over, or at least I'm going to try to swap over. Share screen. And you should see, in a sec. Can you see my screen or not, Helena?
No, it's still loading, Luke.
Still loading. Let me just go back and make sure. So I'm sharing the screen. And I need to know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Is it up now?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So on the left here is me. This is my first business as a kid. And that's actually my cousin, because he was cheap labor. And that's my first business partner, Gary. And this was our first little business that we started with $800 of my own money. And that doesn't sound a lot, but that's all I had at the time, just finishing university. And this was our business selling computers. And this was our first shop. And it was a very little shop. It wasn't actually much bigger than this photo. But we started this business and we went hell for joy. And, we did everything that every other business owner does, worked hard. We're working 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, full of energy, full of enthusiasm. And eventually we did some really cool things. And this was our first superstore we opened after 2 years of starting this little business. We funded this ourselves. And then we put up a second store. So we had 2 of these superstores in less than 5 years. And we won all these great awards. So over here, this is the Ernst & Young Young Entrepreneurs Award. and it's very prestigious, and we thought we were fantastic, and we're in the press, and we thought we're absolutely marvelous. And over here is the Microsoft was the top 5 companies award. We're the top 5 companies in the country for young kids. So this was just unbelievable. So anyone looking in at this business will be saying, well, these guys have got it all sorted out. This business must be worth a fortune. But the truth is, we were doing everything like every other business owner. We were just trying to get turnover and make profits, work hard, and we were not focused on creating a valuable asset. In fact, at that stage, I didn't even know what that meant. I mean, I was still learning what cash flow was. And the trouble with this kind of expansion so quick is you need capital into your business to fuel the growth. Well, we didn't even know about all that stuff. And so when we realized we were in trouble, we needed cash. We tried to go and get investors. And what happened was the investors said, like internally, this business is just not ready for sale. It is way too risky. And so what happened was we couldn't get investment. Our business was not, what I said, prepared for valuation for attracting investors or buyers. So externally, this looked like an absolute gold mine. Internally, it was just a shambles. We're kids. We didn't know what we're doing, but we thought we were marvelous. And the result was, well, I lost $12 million. That business got wiped out. In fact, we got wiped out, and I had to start all over again. So I'm going to jump back into presenting if I can get this right. And somewhere, if I can get out of this.
Luke, while you're just doing that, Al wanted to know, guys, we will have questions and A's at the end as well. So if Luke doesn't cover something, we're here to chat after for as long as you want, for whatever questions you need. There are different options when you're selling your business and how you sell your business. So Al wanted to know if we'll be able to touch on management takeover or employee shares.
Am I back or not?
No, I can't see you. You'll need to turn your camera back on.
Right, yeah, I just want to check my camera. Okay, and my mic's working okay?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, we're back. Okay, cool. So, all right, so let me share the lesson. So what did I learn out of that $12 million mistake? And this is what most business owners do every day, exactly what Gary and I would do. So we were trying to build a business to make profits and get turnover. That's what we thought we should be doing. And yes, you should be doing that, but you should also be doing this. Building a business to sell, to create wealth in your life. So we were sitting on an absolute gold mine as kids, but we had no idea how to present it or make it attractive or fix the things to make it non-risk invitation for potential investors. And that's why we couldn't do it. And that's a really sad story when you think about it like that. The potential was there. We just didn't know what to do with it. And a very important lesson I learned as a kid, that your turnover is not the same as your valuation, right? So we thought because we were growing and growing and we were building a business and turnover was going year after year after year, we thought our valuation was going up and up and up. But your valuation has got nothing to do with your turnover. Turnover can play a role, but it doesn't determine your valuation. And the most important thing, as I can say from that $12 million mistake, is you need to start doing this today, preparing your business for exit, because you just never know when something is going to come along. And you don't want to spend your whole life and your earnings and whatever to find, like us, you can't get rid of this thing. It's got zero valuation. So that was my $12 million mistake. Okay, so let's go and start on the steps now. So step number 1 is, what is your business worth today? So I'm going to give you a 3-step formula. This is an estimate. It's not a true valuation, because true valuations can cost up to like $5,000. And the truth is, unless you've got some really specific thing in mind, you actually don't need that. All right. And I'm going to show you how we work and how you can plan your exit without that. But you want to start your business valuation, your estimate today. You are here today, and there's 2 parts. There's a timeline. And as time goes on, you want your business valuation to increase. So yeah, through a number of years, and this is your dollar amount of your business valuation. So you're running on two things. And you apply 3 steps. The first one is you take your net profit average over 3 years. Now, I just want to explain what net profit is because people get very confused with this. Your net profit is not your sales, right? Your net profit is what is left at the end of the month. So you have your sales of your business minus all your expenses, minus your staff wages, and this piece is next piece is very important, minus your wage or salary. And what most people do when we ask them, so what's your net profit? They tell us their sales figure. In other words, how much are they selling each month? That's not the same. And then they say, well, I just take drawings each month to cover the bills. That doesn't work either. Why? When you are selling your business, the person who's buying your business is going to step into their business and they want to draw a salary. And that's why you have to have a salary, and it has to be market related, salary or wage. What does market related mean? It means whatever your role is in your business, if you enter a competition or you got employed somewhere else doing this role, what would they pay you? Okay, that's called a market related wage or salary. You have to have this in your business equation to get to your net profit. So I'm going to say this again because of all the businesses we investigate and help with, 99% get this piece wrong. They don't understand what net profit is, and they don't think they need to take a wage out. So your net profit, just to recap, you got your sales, minus your cost of sales if you got products, minus all your electricity and leases and staff wages, minus your wage or salary that is market related. When you take that away from your sales, you land up with your net profit. Are there any questions on that before I move? Because this is really important you get what I'm saying here.
Just to put a note in there, guys, every industry has a market related salary. So if you're paying yourself less than the market related salary for your industry, so what you would be getting paid if you were working for someone else, you still have to subtract the market related salary. So a lot of people might just subtract what they're paying themselves, but it has to be the market related salary. If there isn't any questions that I can see at the moment.
Right. So can you guys just tell me everything's cool? Because I cannot see any faces. I got no visibility. And if I'm moving or not, and I don't want to lose you, I'm happy to re-explain things. But this is a common thing where valuations go all over the place because this first piece was not right. So I'm assuming everyone's happy again. If not, let me ask. So you want to take your net profit average over the last 3 years, and hopefully it's improving each year. Then what you do to get your value is you multiply your net profit by a multiplier. What is a multiplier? A multiplier is just a number that the industry comes up with, that all your standard business brokers and accountants work with. And the average business broker and accountant will give you a multiplier between 1.5 and 3. Don't ask me why. I've investigated to try and find out, wow, this is just an industry standard. And generally, an average accountant or business broker will look at all this stuff. I mean, there's factors I'm going to show you a bit later, but you'll probably get it roughly, if things are looking good, a multiplier of 2, 2.5, right? So you times that by a multiplier, and that's what you get. This is an estimation of your business value today. So let me give you an example. So let's say your net profit after sales, after expenses, after your market related salary, what's left in the bank is $100,000 for the year. And you get awarded a 2 times multiplier because things are looking good in your business. Your business valuation would be $100,000 times 2 is $200,000. That's your valuation as it sits today. Your goal, of course, is to increase that valuation over time. The next thing you want to do is you want to design your cash out figure. Now, this can be daunting for a lot of people if you've never really thought about this process. If you are new to this and you've never sold a business before, this can kind of freak your brain out. If you want to know how 88% of all millionaires around the world have made their wealth, it's through this. It's through valuing their businesses and cashing out and selling, right? So the big money in business is made not in the business itself. It's made selling shares or selling businesses. This is what the really rich and wealthy people, they just know this stuff. So what the second step is, design your cash out. You are here today. What do you think you would like to cash out for in, depending where you are, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, depending where you are in your life, in your business situation. And what we do is we show you the tools. It's a system of how you get from here to here, right? There's tools that get you from here to here. So let me show you how this works and how you design your cash out. So the way you do this is a business wealth creation formula. And by the way, there is a recording of this presentation if you want it. Helen, I think we'll ask you at the end for your details of where we send it, but this thing is being recorded and you can get a copy if you want. So you probably, if you're making notes and you're stuck on something, don't worry about that. So there's a formula that you use on how it works. So let's go through it. So let's look at your today's value. Where are you sitting right now? I've explained what a net profit is. I've explained what multipliers are, and I've explained how to get valuation. So if you've got $100,000 net profit and your multiplier you award is 1.5, your business is worth $150,000. If you get a multiplier of 3, your business goes valuation to 300K. That's how it stands today. But what we're looking at, what we want to look in your business is, what is the future? What is the future potential of this business? So if you start at $100,000 profit, obviously you want to improve this, of course, but I'm giving you an example. And if your multipliers increased from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7 to 12, look what happens to your cash out figure. 5 times goes to 500K, 7 times to 700K, 10 times to 1 million. When I said in the beginning, the difference is literally hundreds of thousands versus sometimes millions of dollars. I'm not exaggerating. This is a formula. So let me show you a real life example of how this works. So I'm going to try and put you back onto the screen share.
While you're doing that, there's some questions about the net profit. So the net profit, guys, is the net profit is after everything's been paid. So after you've been paid your salary, after all the suppliers have been paid, after all the bills have been paid, after your drawings, all that kind of stuff, it's what's left at the end. So the net profit at the end, it doesn't get added back in. And how to decide on the multipliers, Luke, is one of the big questions.
Right, I'm coming to that.
Yep.
I'm coming to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm coming to that in a section.
So we can see your screen, the net surplus worksheet.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so this is a copy of the financials of one of my businesses. It was a distribution business that I started in New Zealand in about end of 2005. And what you see here are the sales for the year. And then what you see here is the net profit. And you'll see here after salary, after the owner's income has been taken out, we're left with a net profit of $298,000. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. There's the sales minus all the expenses, minus the market-related salary. You're left with a net profit. And here's the difference. So this business was less than 2 years old. And what happened was this business started to grow, and I started getting international interest and my orders were increasing. And I realized I needed investors in to help fuel the growth, because at that stage I didn't have lots of money. I was, again, I wiped out of my first business. I was starting again. And so I knew all the mistakes I made in my first business. So what I tried to do was try to do the right thing this time. So I went to a business broker, and he looked at this and said, look, your business is not even 2 years old. No one's going to touch this business. Come back after 3-4 years when you've got a track record. So I went to another broker, and he pretty much told me the same thing. The third broker I went to said, look, this looks like it's got great potential. It's still under 3 years. No one's really going to touch this thing, but you could probably get a 1.5 multiplier, even though, I mean, this business was really healthy, but it was less than 2 years. And the reason why they were telling me this, because they're looking at the potential of the business today, not the future. So I went to my accountant in New Zealand, and he said, I want you to go and speak to Deloitte. Now, I wasn't a corporate. I didn't have a lot of money. So I had to get a referral from my accountant to go and see Deloitte, because otherwise I'd be wasting your time, and could I even afford their fees? So my first meeting was $7,500. That was for 1 hour. Okay, these guys deal with big companies. I'm a little dude working from home trying to build a business. And I thought, okay, for $7,500, this guy is just going to solve the world for me, lay out the map, give me buyers. At the end of the meeting, I'm actually going to walk out there with an investor and the cash and all. That was my illusion. So I went and saw Rolf. He was the senior partner at Deloitte. He had looked at this business, and he said, all right, I can see the potential. You're sitting on a gold mine here. If you want me to help you put this on the market, get investors, my fee is $140,000 for 3 months. Now, you can imagine the look on my face when I thought $7,500 was a lot of money. So they carried me out on a stretcher, and I had to go home to my wife and say, I don't know how I'm going to do this. The guy's fee, he wants 140 grand for 3 months. But the truth was, I actually had no choice. I knew if I didn't fix the business, I was going to land up like my first business. And this business was really starting to do well. And I was paying a lot more attention to what I was trying to do than when I was a kid. So to cut a long story short, I went for it. I paid $147,000, but the lessons changed my life. And what happened was, I got awarded a multiplier of 12 on my profit, and the business was valued at $3.57 million after 2.5 years. If I'd listened to the brokers on the corner, I would have probably been, I don't know, sweeping streets or something today. My life would not have changed. This is because there's a methodology and a system of how to do this. And I had to pay the money to learn, and I'm glad I did, because it changed my life. Now, a lot of people think, oh, this is all rubbish. No, you're making up. So let me show you proof. So you can see the date there. I started there in 2006. So the business started at the end of 2005. In May 07, that was my first payment of that business. That came into my bank account as investors put money into. There was my cash out for that business. I sold shares in it. This is life-changing stuff. It's not made up. It's not pocus pocus. This is legit stuff that I learned. And some people say, oh, that was just a fluke. No, it wasn't. What I did was, when I finished with that business and sold it, I then created a new business called the Complete Vet System, and that was helping vet training, turning vet clinics around. And there was a company called United Vets Group, the largest veterinary buying business in buying group in Australia, led by a guy called Sam. We joined forces because he needed a system of education of turning businesses around. So he was expanding his buying group. So our two companies came together and created this Complete Vet System. But what I did in this business from day one is what I'm teaching you exactly today. I started this business with, how do I maximize this valuation from day one? And the result was, after 14 months, we sold this business for $820,000 to an Australian stock market announcement. You can see this on the ASX. This is public information. That is the result of what I'm teaching you all about today. And it's a very different way of thinking to how people run their businesses each day. So what happened in their business, the profit was $149,000, which in the scope of things is not a big business. It's not a huge business. And if I went to a regular broker or a regular accountant, in fact, they wouldn't have given me 1.5 because the business was less than 2 years old. This was even less than my distribution business. So a regular valuation would have told me, go to hell, get lost. It's a joke. No one's going to touch this thing. But I applied the steps and I marketed it. Then I'm coming to show you, I packaged it and I prepared it. And we went and presented to strategic buyers, which I'm also going to come to. And we got a 5.5 multiplier. And that is a significant result because we were negotiating with an ASX company, which obviously these boys really, really do know what they're doing. And that is how we got a valuation and sold after 2 years. So if you focus on the right things, you get the right results. And so just a quick summary of the difference of how everyone, let's say everyone, 96% of businesses focus on this. Sales, number of years in business, getting lots of staff, working really, really hard, and they're focused on turnover and profits. There's very little value in that, in this first business. What I did in my other two businesses, you can see my sales were not very high. I'd hardly been in business that long. It was only me running the show. I obviously had contractors and bits and pieces helping me, but I didn't have 65 staff like in my first business. And once the businesses were setting up, because they were systemized, I wasn't working that hard compared to like a lunatic in the first business. And this is what investors are looking for. All right, so the valuations. So I want to swap back now, Helena. Are there any more questions?
Not at the moment. Is there any question, guys?
So just let me try and get out of this.
And I'm sorry if my my video was distracting for you guys. I've turned it off, so you won't be distracted by my face anymore.
Okay, are we back?
We're back.
All right, so is the, like I said, I've asked, but I don't want to keep going if people are stuck or unsure about anything.
No, we're good.
You're good. Okay. Step number 4 is unpacking your business. Now, this is probably one of the most vital steps. And the reason is why. You want to take a snapshot of your business today. Okay. You want to pinpoint the biggest challenges right now in your business that devalue the worth of your business. Every single business has got these things in that are devaluing your business. And when buyers come to buy, they're going to home in on these because they're going to bring your multipliers down. They're going to bring your valuation down because obviously they want to get the best deal for them. It makes sense. So what are they looking for? They're looking for specific things. That's why you have to pinpoint what are they looking for so you can fix them. And then what you want to do is you want to identify the quickest wins. Now, every business, well, when I say every business, most businesses have got incredible potential. Call these things the golden nuggets. You want to bring those to the surface, right? And you want to highlight those to the potential buyer because you want to show the future of your business. So there's two things you think. What is wrong? What is the golden nuggets? You want to highlight that. And then what you want to do, when I say focus on the right things internally in your business, small changes equals big results. Now, what does that mean? Okay, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint again. I'm going to show you what you should be doing inside your business. Because one of the questions was, how do you increase your multipliers? Well, this is exactly how you do it. So bear with me again. We'll try this again. Okay, screen.
So Tessa, if you can't see Luke, so he'll reshare his screen, and when he comes back, it should pop back up. But you can also change your gallery view in your settings, or you can enter full screen, which might be easier. But he should pop up after he stops sharing his screen again. So we'll wait and see.
Okay, so can you see the screen, Helena?
Yep, small changes equals big results.
Right. So one of the questions earlier, a very important question. Well, how do you increase your multipliers? You do two things in your business. You want to increase your net profit, and you want to increase your multipliers. So this is how you do it. So we're going to look at first on increasing net profit, and then I'm going to show you how you do multipliers. But the two work hand in hand. The higher your net profit year on year, you can get more multipliers. So look, this is just an average financial spreadsheet of any business, and I've just put any arbitrary number just to demonstrate what small changes mean for big results. So you'd have financial year one, or whatever year you're in, you'd have whatever your sales are for the year, you'd have a cost of goods, and you can see I've got a percentage. What does that mean? You take that value divided by that, gives you that. That is a percentage of your sales. That makes sense? You've got overheads, that's your running costs of your business, as the percentage of sales. So 390 divided by 1.5, 26%. You'll have your wages, and inside that wages would include your market-related salary. So that will include all your staff plus your wage or salary. And that'll be a percentage of sales. So 645 divided by that will give you that percentage. Then you look at your net profit. Again, net profit is a percentage of sales. So 45 divided by 1.5 gives you 3. And for argument's sake, this is a brand new business. Your multiplier will be anywhere between, again, if you went to a broker, it'd probably give you 0. Accountant would probably say 0. But if you use the methodology that I'm using, let's just say you get a 1.5 because you're showing a bit of profit. So your valuation, therefore, is 45,000 net profit times your multiplier. Do you remember the equation I showed you earlier? Value is net profit times multiplier. So your valuation today, if you had a business like this, would be an estimate of $67,000. That's what your valuation of your business is today. And then what you want to do, so that would be point A on your exit strategy roadmap. And then one of the things I asked you is, well, you want to design your cash out. So you may say, I'm prepared to work for 5 years, and I want this business to be worth 3.5 million. Like, maybe that's a bit ambitious for you, maybe it's not, maybe you want more. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. The right or wrong answers come, of course, as you build your business and see how realistic or not realistic it is. That's what happens in this very powerful unpack. Okay, the unpack is where you create a launch pad, which I'm coming to in a second. So this is how you determine if this is legit or not, or feasible or not. So then what we do is, once you've got your base set up, then you move to your second year. So a lot of people want to cash out in 12 months that we deal with because they've had enough. They want to retire, they just whatever. That's fine. And then you've got to work on what is realistic for a turnaround in 12 months' time. The longer you work on your business with the right stuff, of course, the bigger your cash out target can be. This is what I'm talking about, being realistic. So what do small changes mean? Well, in year 2, can you increase your sales by 5%? That is not a big ask. Can I reduce my cost of goods by 2%, so from 28 to 26? Can I reduce my overheads from 26 to 24? Can I reduce my wages by 2%? And as a result of just doing those 4 little changes, this is what I'm saying, if you focus on the right things, most people in business don't. They go to work, run around like lunatics, come home exhausted, and go back to work and do the stuff the next day. They do not focus on the right things. Therefore, they don't get a good valuation or a valuable business. And if you do this, your net profit jumps from 3 to 9%. This is the magic formula. I mean, again, this is not a magic show. This is just being smart in your business. And because your net profit is now increased by this much, and you're running a good business, well, of course, your multipliers go up. And you can see your valuation has now jumped from 67.5 to 425. Now, for most people, they think this is just madness. It can't happen. It happens. This is how you do it. This is how it works. And then what you want to do So when you're doing your unpack, this is how you get to a valuation. So if we're working with you and you say, whatever state your business is in today, and I would like to cash out for, say, $500,000, we would do this and say, it's not achievable in 12 months unless you do some radical stuff, which you can do. Or you say, we probably want to work on this business for 2 years. It's worth the wait to cash out for what you want. But of course, you have to do this work. It's not, you don't just, doesn't just magically happen. And then what you do is you repeat the same process for the next year. So we stick to the little changes, nothing radical. Can we now improve year 2 by 5% to increase sales, etc., etc., etc. Small changes equal big results. Your net profit has gone from 45 to 248. If you look at my first business, that Inc. one, you could see I did 298 in the second year, not even the third year, just because I'm doing what I'm showing you right now. I really understood what I'm trying to do, and I applied that to the veterinary business as well. So the stuff really does work. And then, of course, your multipliers start to increase because smart businesses are looking for this. They're looking at these percentages. Where were you? Is this constant? What is it doing to your net profit? And if it's looking good, you get awarded more multipliers. So in 3 years, this business has gone from a valuation of 67 to almost $1 million. Most people in their businesses don't even know this piece exists. They worry about this, and most of them get this all wrong and have very low profits because they're not focusing on the right things. And again, if you had a target of 3.5, how would you get that? Well, nothing changes. Small changes equal big results. You apply the exact same principle. Can I increase this now by 5%? Can I reduce this by 2%, 2%, 2%? And as a result, if you do this, look what happens to your net profit. And your multipliers keep going up and your valuation keeps going up. And in your final year, if you followed the strategy and you did the small changes diligently, that's how you get to 3.5. That's how this works. So are there any questions? Because I have a...
I'll wait to see if there's any questions. But Luke, would you mind giving us an example of Al's got a question. Al, would you like to unmute yourself, or would you like to just type in the comments? Oh, there you go, Al.
Oh, hi, Luke. Just
ahead.
wondering, so the example showing here, was the sale of the company shares itself or the business goodwill itself?
Sorry, just say that again, Al.
So in the example here, you're obviously trying to work on the net profit. But I'm just wondering, so when you're talking about selling of the company, were you talking about selling the shares, the share ownership of the company, or selling the business goodwill itself?
Right. So you can't sell goodwill by itself because goodwill can be part of the equation, but you would sell shares. So part shares or 100% shares. If someone buys 100% of the shares, they've bought your entire business.
Sorry, the reason I'm asking the question is because it's quite common for smaller business. The buyers, they may not want to acquire the shares because there are some inherited risks associated with the company itself. So they quite often they just buy the client list or the goodwill, probably more for the service sector. So that's what I'm just wondering. Anyway, that's all right.
It's okay. I'll try and answer as best as I can. If you are, unless there's some kind of license agreement to use the rights for intellectual property, the database, the concept, or whatever. So some people can license out the opportunity. Does that make sense? You pay for a yearly license, for example, to use that person's intellectual property, their concept, their marketing, whatever. I personally would never do that because you're not really in control of the license. The person who is in control of the license runs the show. They could cut the license, change the agreements, whatever, and what are you going to do about it? So when you buy shares, right, if you buy 100% of shares, you then own that business and can do whatever you want with it. You remain in control. If you're buying something that's on the sideline, you're not really in control, unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. But
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's clear. Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure. Okay.
Before you go, so Susan had so in regards to wages, so wages in her industry increase with revenue and associated government funding parameters and compliance. So she wouldn't be able to see a yearly reduction of 2% in wages. There are other things that, we see this quite a lot, guys, where there are different areas where you can reduce, let's say, cost of goods or overheads if you can't reduce wages. There are other ways to reduce your costs so that your net profit improves. But also when it comes to wages and stuff like that, there are things that you can do. So putting processes and systems in place so that you can do more with less staff as well. So that you increase your net profit. Hopefully that answers the question, Susan. Would you like to turn off your mic and ask, or is that okay?
Well, I'll add to that.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, look, in a highly regulated industry, I think that looking for efficiencies in terms of managing the compliance will obviously create increased overheads as well. And it may just be an initial investment, I understand. But from my perspective, I thought that 2% was a little bit too high. I would be very surprised anybody in my industry to see anybody in my industry achieve that.
So achieve what? Sorry, the 2% of wages?
Yeah.
So, okay. So are you a solo entrepreneur? Do you work by yourself?
I'm the owner and managing director of my business.
And do you have staff?
Yes, 80.
80?
Yep.
Okay, so look.
Not all full-time equivalents.
So, all right. So when you do a wage analysis or staff structure, again, I'm talking hypothetically here. Lots of businesses, particularly businesses with lots of staff, usually are overstaffed. Why? Because the business is growing, it's getting bigger, and the owners are juggling 100 balls at once. But when you put a structure in place, and I'm not saying this is the case for your business because I don't know your business, but most businesses are overstaffed. There's ways you can do things. You can outsource things. You can create joint ventures. So that's why in my businesses, even though I had one staff, I had 7, 8, or 9 coaches. I had admin people, bookkeepers, but I employed none of them. They were all outsourced to protect my wage bill. Okay, so there's lots of things to look at businesses and ways to carve things up. I can't comment more on that until I look at your business, and you may be right. You cannot touch your wages, and that's fine. However, there's other ways to balance things. So if your staff are all highly efficient and you're optimizing your staff structure, you can look at overheads. Is there anything you can chop down? Again, a lot of the stuff is by looking and analyzing. I've never come across a business where when we go into detail of analysis, we can't find stuff to change. I've never, ever, ever had a business where we couldn't find something. Maybe, for example, we couldn't touch wages, but we could grow sales. Instead of 5%, maybe we could hit 7% to counterbalance the 2%. Or
yeah, I guess that's where I was trying to head towards. And I wanted to clarify that my 80 staff, 68 of those would actually fall into the cost of sales or cost of goods category, because we're a service industry. So I know it sounds a bit odd to put them into the cost of goods, but that's just how it's calculated, because of the services that we provide in the industry that we operate in. So the real wages, as in how it would show in my P&L, are the 12 admin related positions.
Yeah, so that's,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so if you got like outsources or contracts, yes, then those will go under cost of goods, not wages. So that if that remains constant, that's fine if you can't fix that. but we'd have a look at how can we change this or do something like that to reduce those as we go. And if none of the costings can change, well, then how do you come up with some growth initiatives to increase sales?
Yeah. That's what I was aiming towards, that, you know, those change figures may be variable amongst each other.
Yes, of course, absolutely. The end goal is net profit. As long as we are focusing on improving net profit by doing little things, because often people say, oh, you have to spend 300 grand on a new branding and websites and all those things and overhaul the entire business. You don't. You've got to just focus on the right things and do little changes, whatever those are, or whatever we can find in your business. The golden thing too is finding those nuggets inside your business. Every business, most businesses have got hidden gold that the owners can't see because they're involved in their own business. And then you can bring those out and extrapolate those out. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, pleasure. All right, so let me give you a real life example now. Dr. Tiva is a person we've been working with, and when we took over his business for him, he was really struggling in his business. He's allowed me to share his figures very kindly, and so he was not doing really well. In fact, this is when he said, look, I have to turn this thing around or I have to just close doors.
He's a cosmetic doctor, guys, just as a background.
Yeah, so yeah, he's in the anti-aging industry and really struggling. So we took over this business late 20 financial year, and we applied the small changes strategies, got him focused on selling, because he was not focused on selling. This is one of the key things. You can't run a business if you're not selling or have a sales vehicle inside your business, which he didn't have. And so you can see this is way more than 5%. And I'm not saying this is, will happen in every business, but this is an example of focusing on the right things. He wanted to cash. When we had this conversation like I'm having with you, and I said, what would make you happy? What do you want to cash out for? And he gave me a figure of like $1 million. And I said, once we had achieved this, which we did, this was the last financial year, $440,000 net. That's net profit. He's got a market related salary. That is a significant business turnaround simply by doing what I'm showing you. It's not magic, not some hocus pocus. It's just simple stuff. And so immediately that puts a good valuation, because a business that's producing this with just 3 staff, that is an incredible turnaround. And so that's really going to attract a multiplier. But he said, when he saw that, he said, okay, well, if I go for 3.5, will I be able to achieve this? So we've laid out his roadmap, and I'm going to show you a few things in a sec, how you actually achieve that. So his budget for this year, F22, is 480, and he's currently sitting on 310,000 for the year. In spite of COVID, because he's in Melbourne, that would be a lot higher, but that's his budget. We obviously, if we're higher than budget, we're very, very happy. But if he keeps this budget, his multiplier will be 7. His valuation will be his 3.5 target, which was his original target. Is there anything else, Helena, before I move on? I need to go back now to...
Yep. So Harry would like to know, are multipliers purely speculative, or they have proportions to net profit and age of your business?
Just give me 1 sec while I try and get out of this thing. Sorry, I can't do 2 things at once. Sorry, Harry. Let me just get back on here. So turn camera back on. All right. So am I back?
It's just loading. Yep, you're back.
Okay, sorry, repeat that, please, if you can.
So are the multipliers purely speculative, or are they proportional to the net profit and age of the business?
There's 2 ways to answer that. And I'm going to come back to that question, because I'm going to show you something that hopefully Harry's going to answer that question for you. This is why there's a roadmap. There's all these steps that click together. Because at the end of the day, you can give yourself 150 times multiplier. It doesn't mean you're going to get that valuation. It's how you negotiate and how you package your business up. Does that make sense? So I will answer that. Helena, can you just make a note for me to come back to that?
Yeah.
Because there's some sections coming up that actually answer that question, if that's okay. Is that okay?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Can I continue? No more
Go
questions?
ahead. No.
All right. So the first 4 steps, I showed you your exit strategy roadmap. This is like the preparation of, like the theory of how you put this all together. And if you do the right things, which is what most people in business don't do, although they all think they do. If you focus on improving your net profit, if you focus on improving your multipliers, that automatically improves your valuation. And when you look at this, you are here right now. What do most people in business do? They go and work hard, and they're trying to build sales, and they're trying to earn profits, and they're trying to get rich or have financial freedom, whatever. But you can't do that in business. Well, I mean, some people do, but they're killing themselves in the process. What you got to be doing is building a valuable asset. That is a very, very, very different mindset to how 96% of businesses operate. It's a different mindset. When you wake up in the morning, you are very clear on what you're trying to do with this business, as opposed to just going to get more sales and look after staff dramas and the usual stuff. You are working towards a cash out. You don't have to sell, but you just never know what's happening. And I want you to think about this. Every day you're getting out of bed and going to work and working hard and stressing, like all business owners have stress and sacrifices and all these things. Why not do the smart thing and work towards creating a valuable asset? Because it's going to pay you dividends at some point in life. You can cash out for a lump sum and then choose what you want to do. It's a really important decision to think about. So this is all the theory. That's great. Okay. The next thing is, how do you execute all of this? Helena, should we take a 2-minute break?
Yeah, I was going to say it's been half an hour. Guys, do you want to have a break? Go get a drink.
Have
go
a
to
drink,
the toilet
stretch
before
your
we get
legs,
into
because
the
I
next
know
one.
this gets a bit much, and then we'll come back and we'll start. How do you actually make this a reality now that I've given you the theory? So let's make it 2 minutes, Helena, and we come back. And if anyone wants some questions in the meantime, or everyone's having a break, I'm happy to chat with you if you want to chat. Questions?
Just raise your hand, guys, if you want to chat.
Any questions, Helena?
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll give it 2 minutes.
Oh, Deborah, that's a very, very big question. Ideas to grow most businesses.
What was that? What are ideas to grow?
It's a very broad question, Deborah. Do you want to unmute yourself and then you can ask Luke if you're looking for specifics? So ideas to grow your business, or things that have worked for you previously, Luke, to grow your business.
So because I've been burnt and lost everything, and I had lots of staff and lots of stress in my life, the way I design my businesses now is through joint ventures, which it's a very powerful strategy that, again, I learned, and that is by leveraging off others. So everything you need in the world is out there. People have got factories and delivery trucks and machines and staff and warehouses and everything. In my first business, my second business of my distribution business, a traditional business would set up a distribution like this. They would go and rent a warehouse, buy all the racks, buy all the stock, have a warehouse manager, buy the forklifts and the trucks, have a marketing team, have a sales team, and then go and try and sell to retailers or customers. That's traditional business. What I did was, I said, I have no experience in distribution. I have no experience in the East factories. I'm going to joint venture with people who already have all the stuff going on. So one of the first things I did was I went to establish distributors in New Zealand. I started the business. And there's multiple segments in the retail industry. There's supermarkets, there's your electronics, there's your mass merchants, there's stationery, there's boutique stores, etc. And all of those people have got specialist distributors. So I went and had meetings with all those distributors to try and sell my concept of ink cartridges, which was putting pictures on ink, because no one can remember ink cartridges, crazy numbers in the printer model. So I came up with parrots for HP and Strawberry for Epson and golf clubs, whatever. So every single ink cartridge had a picture. And I went and presented this concept, and I got distributors on board. They had the warehouses, they had the staff, they had all the relationships with all the retailers, which would have taken me 2 years to do. And they bought stock from me. So I didn't have to have intensive capital outload up as front, or as much capital as if I put this whole business together by myself. Then I found an agent in Hong Kong who went and knew all the factories, because what a lot of people do is they fly to China and go to trade shows and in 3 days try to set up supply chains. And some are successful, but there's a lot of people who get horrendously burnt because there's a whole world over there in the East that I knew nothing about. So I did a joint venture with an agent who went to all the factories, sorted all my shipping out, and within a few months I had my factory set up and my first retail distributions on board, and I went to the meetings with the distributors. That's what I call joint venturing. I utilized all the infrastructure, resource, experience, cash flow. Yes, I had to part with some of my profits, but it was worth it. It de-risked me, and that allowed me to grow my business a lot quicker.
Hopefully that helps, Deborah.
Yeah. All right. Is everybody back? Shall we carry on?
Al, do you have a question? Al, you can unmute yourself if you like.
Oh, hi, look, just a quick question. When you were talking about joint venture, so in your experience, did you always need to establish another company, a vehicle, to facilitate these joint venture agreement?
Yes and no. So in my ink business, no, I had my own company, and I just had contracts with my joint venture partners, my distributors. In the veterinary business, Sam and I formed a brand new company. So his company and my company both took a 50-50 stake in a brand new company that we then built and sold. So it can work either way.
Cool. Shall we continue, guys? We'll still have.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions at the end with pleasure. All right, let's keep going. So, all right, so is everyone's back? The first 4 steps were all about theory, right? So now the most important thing is, how do you actually put this into real life and make it happen? So this is really important to think about. If you're going to design an exit strategy roadmap, you want to do it through the eyes of your buyer, not through your own eyes, because buyers who are going to pay you top dollar, they are looking for specific things. They know what they're looking for and are prepared to pay for. And they also know what they're looking for to knock your price down on. So your goal is to negate all of this and highlight this. Highlight what they want to pay for, de-risk, negate the second piece. Does that make sense? This is what our goal is in executing this roadmap. Now, one of the questions earlier was, how do you go about increasing multipliers? So I think I've answered that in one way. You've got to improve net profit, and you've got to improve factors that improve multipliers. And here are some of the reasons that people or buyers look for when valuing a business. And I call this window dressing. All right? Window dressing your business. And what I mean by that is, if someone knocked on your door and say, can I have a look at your business today? Could you answer these questions? Right? And I'm going to show you a little trick coming up called the footprint strategy. Very, very powerful secret I'm going to tell you that I learned through Deloitte. And I call this window dressing because this is what you need to showcase. You don't have to do all of this, but you certainly want to do as much of this as possible. So things like this, the lucrativeness of the niche you're playing in. What is the potential and trends of this niche that you're playing in? What is the uniqueness of your concept? How resilient is it? What is your customer acquisition strategy? Do you have a lead generation strategy? What about your market positioning? Your pricing? Do you have an upsell sales funnel? So, or do you sell one product, or do you hook them in with one and then on-sell them up? That, of course, be very, very attractive to a buyer. How sustainable is your business? That's, of course, profitability. Is it showing profit? Is it increasing in profit? What about your customer experience? Or do you have like two-star ratings on Google? Right? That's very important. How are you at marketing? Or does someone have to buy this business and then create all this marketing themselves? That's not going to be very attractive. That's a de-risk, because why am I going to buy a business that doesn't have that? Maybe they love your stuff and they can see big potential in this, but they're going to devalue it. They're not going to give you a multiplier if that is not showcased. How's your team looking like? Do you have a healthy culture? Do you have a solid structure? Is it optimized, or are you team heavy that are draining your cash flow and your profitability? Again, that can be a positive for a smart person to look at this and say, I can optimize this, cut a lot of this fat out. But they're not going to pay you for your mistakes, right? So this is very important. How about your suppliers? Do you have quality suppliers? Do the suppliers let you down? Are they trustworthy? Do you have solid contracts in place? How about your admin, financial controls? Are you in financial control of your business, or you don't know what's going on? And most importantly, what is the future potential? I'm coming to this very important piece of how you do this. But there's other things like cash flow, location, competition. So these are what you call a checklist of things you can tick off over and above the small changes strategies that I talked to you about. So you're working on small changes to increase your net profit, but part of that is going through these checklists and ticking all these things off in your business. And that's what you should be focusing on the next 12 months, or whatever your period of time is that you want to sell your business, whatever that means to you. And step number 6 is you need to have some controls if you're implementing all this stuff in your business. And that's why you have your monthly on-track control dashboard. So think of this like driving your car. You are at point A and you're trying to get to point B. You write here your business is worth this and you want to get to this valuation cash out point. It's like driving your car, right? You have to have visibility on your roadmap. If you go off the road, you have to come back on. If you go off the road, you have to come back on. And so that's what you call your monthly snapshots. Each month you have a snapshot of where you're going and are you on track for your targets, just like I showed you with Dr. Tiva's example. You need to have actuals versus budgets, and then you need to adjust. So I'm going to jump back onto PowerPoint and show you exactly what one of these things looks like. So bear with me again. And are there any questions in the meantime, Helena?
Not at the moment. Guys, again, we have this as a recording. So if any of you have poor Wi-Fi, or if it's not showing up clearly from the background there, we've got a recording for all of this, so you'll be able to see it.
All right. So this is just, again, a random example of how your business financials would look. You would have sales or product services, less costs of goods. You'd have all your operating expenses, and then you'd have a net profit. Okay, so what you want, this is a small changes strategy I talked about, and we're focusing ultimately, no matter what combination of fiddling with figures or changes, we want to improve our net profit. And so you have a budget that you create. Again, how do you come up with a budget? Well, I've shown you the formula, the extrapolation form of how do you get to that final price, like with Dr. Tiva's example. And then at the end of the month, you have the actuals, and you simply go through and say, did we make our sales target? And you highlighted, yes, we did okay there. However, our cost of sales blew out by 3%. Right, what went wrong there, and what do we need to do to fix that? Our gross profit was budgeted at 64. We're a little bit low there, for example. We need to do some work. And then every one of your expenses, we go through, and say, for example, you're over there, you're over the expense, you made a good job, you did a good job there. Wages and salary, your budget was 35. Something happened and you paid overtime or whatever, we're a bit over there. Can we look at some restructuring, or there's some joint venture opportunities, or there's some outsource, whatever? And you go through, and ultimately you want to know is what happened to my percentage net profit? Did I meet my 9% target? No, we didn't make it this month. Right, next month we've got to do some work in these particular highlighted areas so that we remain on target. So this is highly focused, and this is someone helping you do this, because when you're busy, you can't do this yourself. And then what you want to do is those examples I showed you on the board. You also want to look at opportunities besides net profit, which was on the previous screen. How can we improve our multipliers? Now, every single business will have golden nuggets, things that you do very, very well. Maybe you have some really funky concept that you have. Well, that's immediately someone's going to be interested in that. That'll give you a multiplier, because that'll attract someone. Maybe you've got a really strong team and it's well optimized and it's flowing. That gives you another multiplier. Maybe you've got some really good growth initiatives that you started that are starting to bear fruit. That is a immediate multiplier that we can really bring to the front to make sure that you are awarded a multiplier for that. Then you look at other opportunities out of all the checklists. There's probably about 60 or 70 things we go through and say, what are the opportunities in your business that we can focus on? You can't focus on everything. It's impossible. You got to find the golden nuggets and get rid of the things that are causing a devaluation. So 2 things. You work on what can you bring to the surface right now and market those and highlight those to buyers. And 2, what can we work on in your business to generate more multipliers? So maybe you've got another site opening. You can do some Google ads and get some lead generation, or Facebook ads, or whatever. And those will ultimately then improve your valuations. But you're very, very focused on what you're trying to do in this business. Again, this is a completely different mindset. Just trying to do stuff and do a process in your business and fix this and fix that. This has got like a dedicated focus outcome. And you can see, like, if your business right now is valued at 300 grand and we put these in and you've got a valuation of 7, that's $400,000 difference. But just finding the gold in your business right now, and more importantly, working towards what is, of course, absolutely realistic in the time frame you want to cash out, the state of your business, and what actually is your business. All right, let's go back to the board. And there we go. Your video.
I think you're still sharing, Luke.
Am I? Okay.
Still sharing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where.
Oh, the X button next to the microphone.
I'll stop sharing. Thank you. Okay, I'm back. Am I?
Yep.
Okay. Right. Step number 7 is very, very important too. Targeting strategic buyers. So what happened? I already told you the story. When I went to a business broker in the first instance, what is the job of a business broker or a regular accountant, or particularly the business broker actually sells the business? They are like real estate agents. They do their job. They have a database and they put an advert on some of the business for sales sites, and they will say, I'll get you the highest price from their database, who offers the most price for your business. That does not necessarily mean the best price you're going to get for your business. Those are 2 different worlds. And so just sending your business out to a database and hope someone buys it, or putting an advert, that is not strategic, right? That's what real estate agents do when they sell your house. What you want to do is you want to target strategic buyers. You want to find buyers who are going to pay you the most, right? And then what you want to do is you want to short the most lucrative acquisition opportunities. So what does this mean? It means if you have a business, what about your competition? What about your suppliers? What about your biggest customers? What about complementary industries in your industry? Those are what you call strategic buyers. And companies like that are always looking for opportunities and expansion. That's how companies go from this. They acquire another company, they go like this. They acquire another company, they go like this. Right? So they acquire. When we sold attempting to sell the veterinary business, once I prepared the roadmap, put all the multipliers in, created the presentation pack, which I'm coming to, I was then ready after a few months to go and sell this thing. So what Sam and I did is we listed all the companies who we thought may be interested in buying our concept. And so we got on the phone and set up meetings, and we flew down to Melbourne, and that one didn't work out. And we had more meetings, and eventually Thomas, who runs NBC, looked at this, called us in for a second meeting and said, okay, I want this business. They public listed, they got the funds. And then what he did is he locked us. He wanted to make sure that no competition could grab this business. This is what you call strategic. It takes work, but it's worth the effort. Okay. And what you want to do most importantly is you want to tailor match this for maximum profits. This is a big difference. Just saying, here's my sales script, what happens at a business broker, and they send it to everyone and they all get the same thing. That's not strategic. If you understand who you're targeting and you want a short list, as opposed to trying to hit 300,000 people, then you tailor your presentations because you know what these buyers are specifically looking for. So when they see your sales perspective, your information memorandum, they're going to say, boom, boom, I'm looking for this, I'm interested. Therefore, you get the meeting, as opposed to some random thing. And I always say, like a bad movie trailer is no movie. You're going to hear me say it again. You want to start thinking about this today, because identifying strategic partners, getting those meetings, tailoring your business does not take 5 minutes, but it's worth the effort. It absolutely is worth the effort. Step 8 is packaging your business for sale. Now, this is critical, right? You can have the best business, you can have done all this work, I'm telling you, but if you're not able to market your business properly in a way that investors and buyers want, wasting your time. Like I said, a bad trailer equals no one goes to see the movie, which is true. So what do you got to do? You have to understand what a smart buyer is looking for, right? You have to know this. And then you tailor your package offer to tell them whatever they're looking for, we have this, right? This is strategic. And then what you do is you then create your killer presentations to get the meetings. So these are often called your sales prospective or your information memorandum. And you should never just have a generic one, because it's like a generic CV. The people who tailor a CV to a particular role to speak to the managing director with all the history, etc., you can see someone who's done research. That's going to be way more attractive to the owner of the company than some just generic thing that a recruitment agency just sends out. So this is a strategic approach, but it pays huge dividends. Now, a question that we always get asked is, well, when is the best time to sell my business? There's no right or wrong answer. It depends on this. Where are you mentally or emotionally right now in your business, in your life? And these things can change like this. Deaths in the families, divorces, financial landmines that go off, you suddenly need a surge of cash. People wear out, they burn out, they get sick and tired of stress, whatever. And this is what you call the bell curve principle. Every single business has this, or particularly the emotional curve of a business owner. It's pretty much the same thing. And what most people do on the up curve, they're all enthusiastic and there's growth opportunities and everything's going great. No ways am I selling my business. This is my baby. I love it. But it's easier to sell a business in all this enthusiasm growth stage. It's easier to sell your business and get a much higher value, because there will come a time in your life when you hit this piece here and your emotional state or your mental state changes and you start to go like this for whatever reason. You want to retire, you're exhausted, you're sick of stress, family dramas, cash, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you start to lose enthusiasm. And when you start to lose enthusiasm, what happens to your business? It starts to go like this. Market conditions change. You could have stronger competition, online threats, niches changing, whatever. Technology takes over, and the whole dynamic where you're doing so wonderful suddenly starts to change. And then when that starts happening, what happens to you emotionally, mentally? Well, you start to follow the tube. And then this is what most people do when they hit you. All right, I've had enough now. I'm going to sell this thing. And that's the biggest mistake you can make, because who's going to buy a business on a decline? Yeah, you're going to get buyers. They're going to pay you absolutely nothing for it. You're going to get a fraction of what you could have got when you're on the up. And that's why I say to you, you have to stop preparing your business today. If you're enjoying it and loving it, you don't need to sell. Of course you don't. However, you just never know when you're going to hit the spot and the curve's going to change. And if you feel this is starting to happen and you put all these strategies in your business, you can put your business on the market and try and get the best price possible for that. Does that make sense? Helena, how are we doing for questions, etc.? Helena? Have I lost you?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, you just went dead.
Perfect. Sorry, I had a little bit of complications with my mic. Well, there was a specific question about being a sole trader and being able to sell your business, which we can leave for a little bit later, Cheat, and we can leave till the end. But is there any other questions, guys?
No, I think we'll leave it at the end. I'm almost finished.
And then we can do all the questions at the end.
Answer with pleasure at the end. Now, this is the golden nugget. This is like the big grand finale. The biggest thing of this presentation is what I want to share with you now. This was the biggest life-changing lesson that I learned. And that's called the footprint strategy. Okay, and it's made up of 2 seconds. Your launch pad, which I've sort of touched on a bit, and that you can build over 1 or 3 years, whatever you choose. And the second part is your financial forecasting. So we got a question earlier about, you know, how do you build multipliers? I think I've explained that quite in depth, but here is the real golden secret. You are here right now, whatever that means in your life of your journey, starting off or being going for 20 years, but wherever you are here right here in your business life cycle, and it's worth X amount of dollars. Your goal should be, in the next 12 months, if you want to sell, if you're thinking about it, or 2 or 3 or whatever, when you want to cash out, whatever your timeline is to cash out, regardless, you should be doing this. You don't sell now, you sell here. Now, what do I mean by this? There's a thing called a launch pad, which is all the steps up to step 10 that I've been showing you. You put all those things into your business that I've been telling you about, and you create a launch pad. It's like creating a rocket. And so when an investor looks at this, because right now your launch pad has got low multipliers. But the big lesson I learned, you don't sell this, you sell this, your future potential. And the way you do that is you lay footprints and extrapolate your business forecast. You want to tell that buyer, I got this rocket, and this is where this rocket can potentially grow. Think about this. Why are people buying your business? They're buying your business because they see this. This is what they are looking for in their head. If I buy your business, what can I do with it to maximize my return, de-risk myself, and get my money back as quickly as possible? That is what they're looking for. So what should you be doing? Paint the picture for them. Does this make sense? So they can see this now. And that'll make you get your valuations and eliminate your competition. Because most people who sell businesses don't have this. You're doing all the work for the buyer. You're creating the vision in their head of what they're looking for. You present it to them. It's called the footprint strategy. I'm going to explain that in a second. So here's an example. You here right now, you're working for the next 12 months to sell it. That's your sell date, or whatever your sell date is. You put it there. Then you lay your footprints. Your footprints are new opportunities, growth trends, expansion, scaling, duplication, whatever you can to lay footprints. You don't actually do this work. This is laying footprints. You're painting a future where your rocket can go. You can't fudge this piece, because when you sell your business, you get audited. You have legal teams and you have financial teams. So you can't hocus pocus. That's what I'm saying. This is not all made up stuff. This is 100% legitimate business stuff, because you get audited by, if you're going for big sales, there's smart lawyers and smart accountants. They're not dummies. You can't make all this stuff up. It has to be 100% verified and audited. That's what you spend your time doing. But let me show you an example of how this works. So this was my ink business. How did I get my multipliers, which was a question I got asked earlier. I said I'll come back and answer it. Here's what happened. In your launch pad, right, you have to establish your concept. You have to prove this thing works. It's making profits. It's like a good business. It may be only going 1.5 years, but as long as you've proven your concept and people are buying it and profits are going up, you don't need all the standard broker stuff 3-5 years. You don't need that stuff. Then what you do is you lay footprints as such. So we work on your rocket. And then what I did in my business was I started in New Zealand and I sold my concept. I established my concept in New Zealand. I sold it to some retailers and to the business market. And I got sales. I got a distributor on board, and the retailers started to buy regularly. I'd proven my cost. Customers liked it. They were reordering it. And then millions and millions of dollars. You saw my sales. It was just a concept that was being proven. Then I laid a footprint in Australia. So I went to Australia and appointed a distributor. It didn't cost me any money. They said they liked the concept and they want to try and sell it. I didn't take over Australia. I then went and did the same thing in the US. I went to a US show. Someone looked at my stand, I said, I'm looking for distributors. Would you like to be one? Yes, we signed an agreement. So I had an agreement, laid a footprint. I didn't conquer the US. Same as Australia. I sold them to a few retailers. That was it. Then I introduced new lines. I introduced toner and specialty paper. And I started putting it through my stores here in New Zealand to prove my concept. Yes, my new lines are working. Then I went to Canada and appointed a distributor, and I appointed a distributor in South Africa. I didn't conquer these at all. I only had a couple of $1,000 sales a month. And then I went and got better factories that could handle my supply line if I was to supply all these countries. And then I looked at smarter systems and shipping and bits and pieces, the small changes. And that's what I laid my footprints. I didn't get involved in conquer US and all these things, which most people think they have to do. I just laid my footprints, which allowed me to extrapolate my financial model, which was the second piece. So what I did here with my concept, I said, if you bought this business based on my sales in here, New Zealand, if we got 5 more retail chains in Australia, that will equal X amount of revenue. If we got 5 retail chains in the US is a bigger market, so I put, I think, 20, 25, whatever. If we sold the new lines into these, how much more revenue would you as an investor make, or a buyer? If we had supplies, retail chains buying in Canada and South Africa, what would that do to the financial model based on my launchpad? So create your rocket launches. Can people see this really happening? Can't make it up. It has to be true. That's what you call the footprint strategy. It is the most powerful thing, and that is how I got a 12 times multiplier because of the financial model and the presentation and the future picture painted based on my launch pad. That is life-changing. That changed my life, that strategy. And that is a strategy that we teach you and we work with you on to sell. It is life-changing. Now, you may be saying, okay, well, that's all great, but what happens if I have a business that's sitting here somewhere for whatever reason, like Dr. Tiva's? I'm going to show you him in a sec. That's okay. What you've got to do is you've got to say to yourself, I've got to make a decision in my life. Do I want this thing to keep going down and down? Because every day and every month it goes down and down. You're wiping out your valuation. And all the years you spent, well, you just wasted it. You can't raise the Titanic. You have to rescue it before it sinks. And if you find you're in this position, well, then what you've got to do is you've got to clip that. You've got to cut the hemorrhaging and start applying a launch pad and then decide when you want to sell it out. And generally in this situation, people are, the emotional state, they're tired, they're worn out, they're drained, fighting. So generally, the time frame for this is usually 12 months to turn around. You can't always do this. You have to look at the business. You have to see what state it really is and can you work with the owner, etc. But let me give you a real life example. This is Dr. Tiva, the one I showed you earlier. This was exactly what happened in his business. You saw his figures. It wasn't very good. And he said, basically, if I continue like this, I'm wiped out. He had to make drastic action. This is not an ideal situation to get involved in, but you can turn around. And that's what we did. And so what did we do? Well, this is what we're doing right now. First of all, we're to put his launch pad in and focus on those things to turn, like the small changes, to turn that business around and start showing profit. Right? You can't sell a business that's going backwards. You just can't. Well, you can, but you're going to get nothing for it. And then what we said was, okay, he said once he started seeing light in this business, what we'd like to cash out from, walk away. He said 3.5 million. And the way we are doing this is this. We are applying this footprint strategy. So he's a practitioner, one practitioner and one nurse. And I think they've got a contractor who comes in. But pretty much the way you extrapolate his business, he has got 6 rooms in his clinic. He only uses 3 of them. If we said, based on the launch pad, Dr. Tiva, for example, as a practitioner earns $600,000 of sales a year because he's working on these people who want anti-aging. He brings in 600 grand of revenue. His nurse, for example, will bring in, say, $400,000, and the contractor brings in $200,000 because his turnover is now 1.2 million. That's how you get the 1.2 million. Now, what happens if we brought in 2 more doctors? Because he's got a system he works. He's got a consulting system we put in, so when he brings people in, he converts them. We've set up Facebook ads and we've set up Google ads on automation for him. Those we took a while to get that. Helen is involved in that. His automation, that is huge value because he doesn't touch it. We've optimized that and that runs on autopilot now. So he gets leads coming in all day. So if he had another doctor come in, he hasn't employed this doctor. I just want to be clear. This is forecasting the future potential. Or another doctor can bring in another 600 grand of revenue. Another nurse can bring in another 300 grand. But he's still got some rooms left. What happens if we bring 3 doctors in and 3 nurses? What is that going to do to this one location? This is extrapolation of your financial model. This is very exciting to buyers. You have to have a launch pad. So it has to be legit. What is he earning right now? What is the nurse bringing in, etc.? What about 2 locations? If we duplicated his location, so if we move to another suburb down the road, in fact, he does have a joint venture with another location where he goes as a contractor doctor to them, and they've been asking him to expand that business. So there's another golden nugget that's come out. But I'm saying to Tiva, you don't have to do any of that. You just have to present that opportunity to a buyer because it's legit. You go there once a week, whatever, and do 5 hours. Imagine if we put a full-time doctor in that other location. What would that do to the financial model? It'll go through the roof. This is your extrapolation. What about equipment? So you've got these two very expensive machines that cost 150 grand each, whatever they are. And I say, well, if you put 4 more machines in, or 2 more machines, because one machine is responsible for, say, I don't know, 80 grand a month, but you limit it. People are waiting for these machines. What happens if you put 2 more machines in? What would that do to your revenue? It would go through the roof. And what about new services? If you got new doctors, what could you do? Maybe nutrition programs or muscle sculpting or something, as opposed to just weight loss or skin tightening or whatever. Those are opportunities that he doesn't have to do, but he can project. So I hope this is clear, because this is the golden nugget, and this, you don't have to do the work. This is the beauty. All you have to do is do this, and you have to do it properly. And that's how you crank up your multipliers. And that is exactly what we're doing. And when you look at this and see, we put all these initiatives in a financial model, how would his $1.2 million revenue go? It'll go through the roof. If you had all these doctors, all this equipment, new locations, you'd probably be sitting about a $3.5 million turnover, which would push his valuation way beyond. But yeah, he wants to do that, and that's what we're going for. But this is what you do. Now, step number 11 is negotiation techniques to see the deal. So here is the truth. You've done all this work, all right? You don't get paid for what you're worth. You get paid for what you negotiate. That's just the truth, okay? So what are some tips on how to negotiate? I want to tell you a golden secret. What I've learned in my life in negotiations, and I've had some serious negotiations. The guy who bought my first business was worth about $30 million. He was the hardest bastard I ever dealt with in my life. He wouldn't give me 1 inch. That's why he's worth 30 million. And then when dealing with some of the biggest brands in the world and dealing with an ASX board of directors who are going to buy your company, that's no easy cup of tea. However, what I learned was this, and I highly encourage you to do this. 80% of your preparation for success happens before you even get to the sales meeting. Okay? What do most people do when they want to sell their business? They go here and they sell their business. They get someone to make a little flyer and they send out to a database and see what happens. That happens there. What you want is what I'm telling you. You want to have everything lined up. So when you go into that meeting, they can't devalue you. You show them with the future potential. You don't budge because your preparation's there. You don't need to be some super smart, top level, fancy suit executive to negotiate. If you do this, you stand strong and you command the price you want, don't budge. 80% of your success is in preparation. If you're prepared, you're less nervous because you've got the facts laid out in a format we show you. And then what you do is you use this very important formula, a 4-step conversion formula. So what do? First of all, you present the opportunity in your market, in your niche. Then you say, well, what are the problems in this market? What are the competition doing wrong? What are the customers frustrated about, etc., etc. The way you do this, you just go and look at reviews of competition. Who's screaming and moaning? Who's got the 1 stars? And you pick all this information up. Then you present your solution that negates all these problems. And the final piece, very importantly, which no one does, is show you how you're going to execute. So if you are asking for $1 million in your business, right? This is all beautiful. But if you tell them how to do it, you're going to get the deal over the line because not many people have gone to this step. And inside there, you've got structure, timeline, small changes, spreadsheets. You've got your financial forecast built on your launch pad. Everything is there in this preparation, and you talk through this. It's very unlikely that the deal is not going to go ahead. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
Not yet.
I'll answer at the end, but please keep typing them in. Now, the final step is this. If you've got this far, congratulations, because you've got a deal on the table. This is what you've been working for. But it doesn't end here, right? Every rose has thorns. Navigating legal and binding contracts. Now, when you're at this level asking for these kinds of money, there's generally not a pack of Muppets in the room. And they got a team of lawyers and accountants for all the auditing. That's why you cannot make all this stuff up and fudge any of this thing, because you'll just get thrown at the door. You have to be 100% legit in your preparation. But they are there to do two things. Buy your business for the least amount of money and put clauses in to protect themselves and hopefully get some of their money back if you slip up. Okay, I learned this a hard way too. Every rose has thorns. Every contract, if you're dealing with smart people, has sabotaging clauses and cash clawbacks. What does this mean? So you've done the deal, you got your cash, you're on your yacht, you're in the Bahamas, and suddenly lawyers' letters can't start coming through, suing you for this and suing you for that. And you think, well, what the hell? I didn't agree to this, so I didn't understand that. Unlucky if you didn't understand it, you didn't get it right. Every rose has thorns. So you want to make sure you understand every condition of the sale. And lawyers, you have to have legal, but you also have to have someone there who knows what the hell is going on to protect you, because not all the lawyers, if you've got a smarter pack of lawyers than your lawyer, you can get outsmarted like I did in one of my transactions. So there you go. That's the 12 steps. I hope you found that useful. You can take these 12 steps. Now, as I said, there's a recording of this thing you can take. And you can generally go and apply this into your business. I hope it's been an eye-opener, because when I first learned this, truly it was. And that's it. It's a step-by-step process. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, that's cool, but maybe you would like some help in your business. So how does that work? Well, very simple. Let's chat. Well, all we do is we have a no obligation discovery call. It's worth $500, and it's free for you guys because you're part of the business group. I'm a mentor as a part of this group, and you get it for free. And I just want to make clear, this is not a sales call. And the reason I must say this is just to be realistic about expectations. I can't raise the Titanic, and not every business can go through this process, and not every business owner can go through this process, because it's just the truth. So what happens on this call? Well, there's 5 things. The first one is we work out what is a true estimate of your business today. All right. The second one is, what do you think you want to cash out for? And what is realistic and what isn't, based on what we put in your launch pad. The third one is, what are some of the golden nuggets sitting in your business right now? And every business has got one, or almost every business has got one. How does your footprint look like? What does it look like in your business? And then we look at what are the factors right now in your business devaluing your business, because every business has got those. How do you start to negate those? You have to fix those, otherwise all the work you're doing is going to be devalued. And then what are your value drivers? What can you bring to the surface right now to increase your multipliers today or in the next 12 months? And then what we do with you on the call is give you a roadmap. So you walk away with a roadmap. And obviously during this process, if you think you want help doing this, of course we chat. Of course, this is a natural thing that happens. But if you come to the end of this, you have nothing to lose. You've got potentially tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to gain. So if that is of interest to you, just send your name, email, and mobile in the chat box to Helena, and she will arrange a time for us to meet. Please put your mobile in, because often people put wrong emails in and we get it wrong, and then we end up chasing and chasing. So if that's of interest, you can do that now. And also, if you want a copy of this presentation, please let Helena know with your email address so that we can send it to you. So that's it from me. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm happy to sit and answer questions for you guys as long as you need to.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Sheet, you had a question if you'd be able to sell your sole trader beauty therapy business. I will definitely recommend booking this phone call with Luke, because he can also go through a valuation with you. And if you just pop your email and number down, we can. It's hard to answer with no information if you'd be able to sell your business. So, if you want to organise a call, we can do that too. So Harry, does that answer your question about the multiplier and how it's allocated to your business? You said, is it purely speculatory? It really is based on your business and your industry. It doesn't always just have to be about how long your business has been operating.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Complete sense. Thank you.
Yeah. And sometimes if you go to a broker, they just allocate you the industry multiplier and they don't look at your future potential of your business. Does anyone else? Al, did you have any other questions? I know you had a couple there at the beginning in regards to Luke's previous businesses and selling and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, just wondering, is it possible just to elaborate a little bit more on the due diligence process?
Yes. So due diligence happens obviously once you got a deal across the line. So what you enter.
Can
Am I back?
Oh, yeah, I was like, where did you go? Your camera's dropped out.
I can see my camera on.
Do you mind just turning it off and back on again?
They're better.
No, it hasn't popped up. Maybe just continue with the due diligence.
Well, I mean, I can't. Can other people see me, or is it just you? Can the guys just type in the box if you can see me or not? Seem to have had some internet glitch going here.
I wonder if the meeting's being concluded by Teams.
No, it shouldn't have.
I can still see people logged in.
Yeah, we can't see anything either.
You
but
can't
we
see
can hear
anything.
you.
You can hear me.
Yeah.
Right, I'll turn the camera on and off again, or I'll just keep talking. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Chloe said we can still hear you, but we can't see you.
I don't know. I can see my thing. I don't know. I don't know what to fix. Stop spotlighting me, maybe.
No, no, you can just continue talking. Nothing.
Right, I don't know what's happened. As long as you can hear me. Okay. What was the question again? Sorry. The due diligence period. Right. So in your due diligence period, everything that you are claiming has to stack up. So in your launch pad, if you're saying you got this particular concept and it does these wonderful things, and you got IP rights and you got contracts with all these people, well, this is the time when you have to prove it. Okay, so you can't make up stuff when you're selling your business, because you're going to get caught out. And your due diligence period can last anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months, depending on how complicated the evaluation is, or the due diligence period. But they will go through all your financials. They'll check it against your lodgings, your BAS and financial returns. They will phone your suppliers and check the validity of contracts. They'll phone your landlord and see if the leases are in place. That's what you call due diligence. So you never, ever want to put something that's false or that's going to get you caught out, because you will lose the deal, right? And again, you shouldn't do that anyway, but you cannot make anything up. And all your claims about your footprints. So if you say, I've got a contract in, the USA and people are buying the stuff, well, you got to prove that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Any more questions?
Waiting to see.
Can I just also ask another one? Just I think the one touch base on previously. What's your thought on management takeover or employee share scheme?
Management takeover, or what was the last part? Sorry.
Or having an employee share option plan?
Yeah, so a lot of businesses do that. They do management takeover. There's pros and cons. So employee shares is also a great way to get your staff buy-in. There's two ways to do it. One way is to give profit share as opposed to equity share. So if the staff work hard and the business makes $300,000 profit, you may say they get a 10% profit share. So you give them a percentage of the profits. That's different to actual equity share, which means they own part of the business. There's two ways you can do it. Generally, most owners don't give staff equity. They normally have to buy equity. Equity means shares as opposed to profit share. And as far as management takeover, some businesses do that. There's pros and cons. The pro is it's an easy handover. You generally don't have to go through due diligence, normally because that person's working there, they know all the finances or whatever. So you can cut out a lot of the legal things. The downside of it is often the staff or whatever will not sometimes have the cash to pay the value of the business. But there's ways around it. I mean, depending on how you want to sell it. Some people say, I'll take, instead of an upfront cash out, I'll allow the business to be taken over, and every year for the next 5 years, you will pay me the value of the business, for example. So that does that answer your question?
Is that like it works like a loan and they pay you off partial amounts every year?
Yeah, so if you agree the sell price is 2 million, but then the business is making 250 grand profit a year, the management takeover still draw salaries to live, but the profits would go back to the owner to pay off the sell price. That's the way some people do it.
Thank you, Luke. Yeah,
Pleasure.
that's very clear. And if is there, from your experience, do you think if a business has a say employee share option plan in place, do you think that can enhance the value of the business?
Sorry, I'm just struggling to hear you. I'm just going to reset my speaker. Sorry, I'm just struggling to hear. Just give me 1 sec. Getting some interference going on here. Okay, sorry, can you try that again?
Yeah, if from your experience, do you think a company has an employee share option plan? Do you think that may increase the value of the company?
Decrease or increase?
Increase.
It's really hard to answer without understanding the business, because I mean, employee, again, are you talking about actual shares or profit share?
The actual shares. So they may set aside maybe say 10% of all the 10% of all the equity shares to say employee share trust. Obviously, there's some tax reasons there, but I'm just wondering, for a business having these kind of arrangement in place, do you think that can increase the value of the company?
I don't know if that would increase the value. I mean, normally what happens in takeovers or buyouts like that, if the buyers, so if someone has got if you are selling your business and you got your staff, some staff have got shares. In other words, they have a stake in their business, not just profit. Profit, I'll talk from my perspective. Again, this depends on the person buying the business, and they may have a different opinion, which is fine. I don't think there's a right or answer, but from my opinion, if you're just incentivizing your staff with profitability, the sell process is clear cut. Because once you sell it, the new owners take 100% ownership or whatever percentage they purchased if you're doing a complete sellout. And once you do that, those staff members would have shares. They would get paid out the equivalent value of the share, so they could clean slate that. But if someone's doing like a partial buyout, say 30%, for example, then it can become a bit complicated because the 10% is, there's a voice inside that 10% of what happens. Because shareholders have a voice in the company. The majority shareholders have the majority, but shareholders still have a voice. So it may be a positive because it's helped moving the company forward and people are highly incentivized. The downside is it may make the sale transaction a bit more complicated, depending on the buyer and what they're trying to achieve. If they see it's a bit of a thorn, or it's not a problem. So I don't think there's a clear-cut answer for that one.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very clear.
So it might not also be very attractive depending on who the buyer is going to be. It just depends on who the buyer is.
And the structure of the deal, of course.
Yeah. Is there any other questions, guys? If there's no more questions. So like Luke said, there will be a recording that we can send out. There's this live recording that the Brisbane Business Hub will send out. And there's also the one which we have a specialized workshop for, which we can send to you guys. And if anyone's looking at the one-on-one strategy meeting, I'll include you can let me know what times you are available and if you want to have the meeting. But if there's no more questions, I think that's it for the meeting. Thank you guys for joining us on the Brisbane Business Hub. I know it's hard doing this online. We would have loved to be in there, and hopefully we can start going there again soon. We have some upcoming presentations as well in the next couple of months if you want to join in, and we'll definitely be doing this workshop again in live at the Brisbane Hub as well.
Thank you to Chloe, and thank you everyone for showing up.
Thank you.